Om Ahom. 그래서 내서 트레이트레디 샘지 탐제라 예리제리 대체 정보대로 상계 고성토고 용tin지 들이 요레스 변 도지 파란 용tin지 샘지 세비 예리 요레스 그렇게 매일 매도 소문도 되다야 매마도 대외를 다다 네 저도 사람 잡나 매도 소문을 용tin이나 네 민주요 바테다고 콜 이렇게 다 주고 쓰는 이치요. 용디도 쓰는 요라데 같이 마서봐. 매도 사고만 미마다고 삼모다는 이렇게 맞지 뭐리. 이 동네도 돼. 왕게 민지 왕세는 매도 사고도 매도 민지. 동네 삐죽 직장에 이렇게 따라 삼모단 거예지. 또 하나 들이다다디 밑반대라. 마사마가 왕탑에 된데 삐 밑반만 보고 저리 저 내반인 가대 삐 밑반만 보고 저리 밑반만 파카연도 되지 샘지라 되지 내야 옆에 갖고 요래 네 밑반대에 되니 손가락 세지 콜로 또도 되면서 고는 되지 대 콜로 되지 속지고 콜로지 되니 라니타 파 오전에 샤송메 우랑이 샤송 되네 근데 하가라다 제가 세지 콜로 또도 되면서 되니 다들 또 동대는 되지 앞에나 어저께 되다 고거 세지 콜로 가는 별 세지 콜로지 이제 대책 정보 대책 정보요 봐 대라지 사족세부터 좀 센티 올리들 이게 문제는 아니 것들이 삼바다 문제라는 샤브라지 탑시라니 이제 sem을 함성고 요래 빼는 속차 차와지는 데는 마사보고 삼대 요래지 성우지 가래들이 배송 삼대요 봐 마사보고 느시제 공송 대다고 하고 뒤도 대다 콜리 라는 우드 멤버들 셔도들이 다 책에서 로인데 이제 장에 책로 열어야고 요래지 이 저미나는 로하고 요래 이제 답은 빠테죠 공 다시 베베 이제도 콜로텔로 라글리오 사람 벌레들이 이 우드들이 속죄해서 사지에 탑지 들리선 나타도 온과 아마운데 차와 뽑아는지 들리선 이제 남기 세지 탐지를 들 봐서 잡아봐 라랑 뜻고 말이 되다 온 거래지 이제 참 별로 어때 이로 약도 bomban shitro somakam danya ver un bombo solo con danya ver un bombo ti tocar tasse di quello toda della bomba
So then Rinpoche had just touched the three places with a drop, a bindo drop, and what that represents is that as a sign that all sentient beings possess Buddha nature on the basis, so they all are endowed with the qualities of a Buddha's three kayas. Their mind is just like a diamond that has all the qualities of brilliance. Or it's like the seed of a flower. It is just currently unripe, it's not ripened yet. And so when we confer blessings, conferring blessings is the ripening of that seed so that the qualities will emerge. So what you should understand here is that you have those qualities, they only need to ripen, and they can ripen. And you need to fully trust in that, fully believe in that. You're determined that you have these qualities of the three kayas, like the seeds of a flower. And when they ripen, then all their powers become manifest. So that's why the empowerment is also referred to as the ripening empowerment. So all of the meaning of all of what we just mentioned is all actually the same. And so then next there's a visualization in the empowerment text, which is the visualization for the descent of blessings. And so generally, actually in the new tantric system, there are so many different visualizations, and it's very difficult to visualize them all. So, for example, we visualize things in our forehead, throat, heart, the different chakras, and there's many different steps to the visualization, so it's very difficult for the mind to always focus on that single-pointedly without distraction. And so that's why there is one part of the visualization here, and you can only focus on that, and that is to visualize at your heart there is a golden wheel. So I will maybe first I'll read the visualization. So from within the state of emptiness, you appear in an instant in the form of Samantabhadra, who is inseparable from the peaceful and wrathful Buddhas. Inside your heart is a golden wheel with 1,000 spokes. In essence, it is one with the heart of all the Buddhas of the 3 times and the peaceful and wrathful Buddhas. The light radiating from the ever-turning wheel invites the root and lineage gurus, the yidams, dakinis, the infinite assembly of peaceful and wrathful Buddhas, and the Dharma protectors, who then descend like snowflakes in a blizzard. As they dissolve into the wheel, it begins to turn fiercely, and your body dissolves into a shimmering mass of light. So the main visualization here is to visualize this 1,000-spoked golden wheel at your heart, and then you think that it spins, it turns really fiercely, and then through the turning, then your whole body dissolves into this mass of shimmering light. And so first, when it spins, when it turns fiercely, through the turning, a natural mantra sound emits from the rotation, the movement from the wheel. And so what that wheel in your heart really represents is your fundamental Buddha nature that you already have. So it's in your heart, and you have it at the core of your being. And it is there, but it must ripen through cultivating bodhicitta. But actually, we have qualities, these qualities within our mind. Since we have a mind, we have the nature of this mind is loving and compassionate, and it is skillful, and it is wise, wisdom. These qualities actually naturally, it is called, they are self-arisen, so they naturally exist within your mind. For example, even a little animal has that. It is, for example, the love of a mother for her child. That's why we always mention that kind of love. We should see beings like a mother sees her child. That's that seed that we already have, and that must be ripened. So in any case, so that's the main visualization here. So while Rinpoche is doing the recitation for the descent of blessings now, just focus on that single-pointedly. So you focus single-pointedly on this 1,000-spoked golden wheel at your heart, and then think that from the space, the blessings of all the Buddhas of the 10 directions and 3 times falls down in the form of mantra syllables like Om Ahung and so on. So all the blessings fall down, and then, so when you hear the drum later, then you imagine all the blessings come down and they permeate all sentient beings, the entire universe. So don't just think of yourself here, that these dissolve into you, but think that they dissolve into all sentient beings. And so again, the main visualization is you visualize yourself as Samantabhadra with consort, and at your heart is a 1,000-spoked golden wheel.
디마타들이 샘들 우요들이 이 우들이 다 사제 탐지 사족sem 우르네들이 다 속기신 감 탐절 탑로 세심지 탐절 탑로 sab제로들이 들이 대학고고에 그다 대식중보로 sab제로 사바는 인제제로 들이 사바는 인제요 띄우들이 사제 탐지 인제도 사바는 내가 차도요.
So this wheel, this thousand-spoked golden wheel fiercely turning at your heart, what is it really connected to also? It's connected to bodhicitta, the aspiring or aspirational bodhicitta and the engaging bodhicitta. So in brief, the moment this mind set arises where you feel, I want to benefit all sentient beings, that very moment, your mind, there is light to your mind. Your mind becomes luminous. And that is also why we visualize always the Buddhas dissolve into light or light radiates from them and so on. And so that light then pervades all the Buddhas, all the Pure Lands in the 10 directions, and it pervades all sentient beings. So the light is a light of love. Love is the light. So that is what you should understand here. That you possess Buddha nature on the basis, and then if you develop love and compassion, your mind becomes luminous. If there is love, then there will be compassion. So that's the nature of that light, and it is through that light that you are able to connect to the great love and compassion of the Buddhas.
Om Beda Amida Gondali Hana Om Be Om Soba Vajada Soba Vajada Hang Tombani the Jar Tombang Hangli Soba Ke Gakun the Zambo Shitro Yemi Maki Sardos Jokar Yusuf Saji Shitro Tamche to get the Bongo Sergio Holo Tepon de Bapami the Kovale Otu Taju Lama Yetam Kadoshi Shitro Ramjang Chitong Sumada Jiba Poyotabada Suni Tempting Kolo Tado Koverani Old Medashu Mepado Om Gora Devan Drag and Shinta Deva Pizza Avisha Tamaya Gora Devan Drag and Kita Devan Meda Umaya Avisha Sì, vabbè, si va tenere, ma non c'è tempo salvato, tempo c'è ti trambe da. Ma pattanti gistati, yang ma dopo non io secondario 쳤다라 돼. 또반인거나 야라티 신입 탐제들이 상촉 바턱도 받느냐며 매봐. 돈이 다에 제다에서 들이 다슬라고 삼지 조름 건지 돈도 봐야지. 또 많이 돼서 따오는 내려가는 거 그래야지.
And then normally at the end of any visualization, then we should rest the mind in a non-conceptual state and just look at the nature of the mind. So just rest in this empty, natural state of the mind. And then it said here in the text that until attaining enlightenment, the blessings will not decline because they are sealed in, and it is they are sealed by the view of emptiness, or the seeing of the empty nature, viewing the empty nature of the mind. So normally when we visualize the form of a deity, then at the end of that visualization we dissolve the visualization, which is the completion stage, and rest in a state of emptiness for a little while. So here we need to rest in the natural state of the mind.
또 봐서 저런 아예 조정 말을 또 와이 조정은 제대로 난 가도 나서 이제 통들에 나서 저 반저 왜도도 좀 탐벌 제 라마cho 라서는 먼저 다다 예미장 바도 말을 또 그랬 다다 하다 자자는 대화 가용 하다 따지자면서 샘 맞출 거는 샘데 라다 집발에 문제 다다 예미장 바도 말을 또 그랬더니서 무슨 코발라 니몽쪽은 참송데 다른 양랑 내로 통해들이 다시 다른 게 루파 마운 초바서 샘지 소를 양잘 랩송들이 랩송데
So here, what the empowerment text said is that, so we say to the deity that actually we, since primordial times, we have been inseparable from you, but then I have become obscured by the thoughts of ignorance. And so before I became obscured, before I became confused, I was one with the deity. And then after that, I became confused through ignorance and began to wander in samsara, driven by the three poisons, the afflictive emotions. Today, I am seeing the nature of my mind, the nature of my intrinsic awareness, which is just like the meeting of a mother and her child. It's like a reuniting, a coming back to. So today, you have come back to your intrinsic awareness. Now take the blindfold off.
말을 다들 랑송지 에 말을 가리 생분대로 말을 가리 랑 생분대로 에 르바이킹 만들어서 말을 받을 르바이킹 만들어서 송들이 생분대로 다른 렉송 가리 렉송 생분이 코한테 똥잘 남가다 버리 똥노를 남가다 제메발 싸워 들은 하고 송데 다들 이게 대를 들이다 사제인이 세미다 랑산데 사제에 받대 걸 상들은 바닥에 상성 얘들 sen 남카 체메바레시 sen 남카 체메바 하고서는 말하고 센다 남카 체메를 죽을롱도 제 봐인서 당연히 추적을 거기서 못해 통거래지.
And removing the blindfold is the removing of ignorance. And so what is actually ignorance? Ignorance actually is the opposite of awareness. So it's unawareness actually. So it's awareness or unawareness. And ignorance therefore is to be unaware of your true nature, the true nature of your mind, what you really are. that's ignorance. And so awareness also literally means to see. So today you have seen your true nature. And so what is that nature? What have you seen? It is empty, just like space. But you also clearly know it. There is a knowing in this emptiness. That is what you have seen. And when you have seen that Buddha is nothing else but your own mind. Buddha is to clear away all grasping, and Buddha also is to be vast and expansive, just like space, limitless like space. Milarepa also said that when you realize that mind and space are indivisible, you have realized the Dharmakaya. So therefore, what you have seen today is the Dharmakaya Samantabhadra.
초랑 남자 풍감 잼치장 도지습 줄람지 Shitro lar jo kwa la sado je jikti naranga pangam niya chakol jo kolo nabasam o ni yemi de yo ba ngoshi ba che so ta di DROLMA jo ko wa chi ko sat jo ko na tu jo ko yin tu jo ko so de salang yin so yek se chpa ta so salang ji yek se chek de la to ni ng ji ba re sat jo ko ta ta ni du te ki ma to ba ko ni sanung jikti nāpi simchi chetawa dhwara dhūrēt. Mā tījī kholo kāza jik lūsēmi la, tētō chā tāngā rīyo, sō chā chāwa jū la lūsēmi sē la, tētō chā tāngā yō rēs. Tētō jikwa jikāng rēs. Nāng yūmōngā, māmī bāgala nāng yūmōngā, mīnsō nō jishīgā, tā tēshē kā yō rē. Rīsā jūngā, nāng yūmōngā, tā tēshē sūshība, ngā jishība tabjē tērē. 대도 때 이전이 되리란 게 메도 사원들 다 사원도 샘들 무지 다 정말 세고는 나파다고 차라 이들이 용디만 보더니 사진 거스를 좀 통화 요래서 대저를 장 로저를 오 대저를 로저 답해하고 장 칼비 저를 책고 맞죠.
So what Rinpoche just read in the empowerment text, read it first. So it says, child of noble lineage. This mandala is nothing but an illustration to show you that the infinite assembly of peaceful and wrathful Buddhas are the essence of the Vajramaster's body, speech, and mind. The peaceful and wrathful Buddhas are also the essence of your own aggregates, elements, and sense spaces, dwelling in the nature of the three Vajras. Recognize that the outer universe, your inner body and the elements, and the mandala's three spheres are indivisible by nature. When His Holiness the Dalai Lama gives the Kala Chakra empowerment, he speaks about there being three aspects to Kala Chakra, which is the outer, the inner, and the other Kala Chakra. And also it is said that the outer, inner, and the other, when purified, or they become purified as one in the vast expanse. So what that means is that within the state of emptiness, everything is the same. So now, temporarily, there appears this universe, which is composed of many compounded things. There is the outer universe, and there is the inner sentient beings inhabiting the universe. So in brief, we have the 6 realms of samsara. And this vast outer universe and those limitless sentient beings are actually complete within anybody's body and mind. So one's body and mind is the microcosm of the outer universe. For example, even a small animal has that body and mind. And the entire universe is present within that little animal's body and mind. It's exactly the same. On the inner level, for as long as our minds are immature, there are the 5 afflictive emotions. And when the mind matures, then they become the 5 wisdoms. On the outer level, we have the 5 elements. So this is the general introduction teaching of the Shitro and also of the secret mantra in general. So it is similar to the explanation of the seed of the flower, that on the basis we all have that seed. And it is actualized when the fixation to a true concrete existence, basically the dualistic grasping in the mind, becomes purified, and the mind then becomes like space. And many qualities arise from that. All the qualities of the Buddha's 3 kayas and all the Pure Lands. Alas, Guru, Samantabhadra, embodiment of the 5 Buddha families, in order to purify the stains of dualistic grasping at subject and object, please grant me the supreme vase empowerment. And then it says, the disciple melts into light and enters in the form of a hung into the mouth of the Vajra master, visualized as Samantabhadra with consort. The hung passes down through his body, and passing through the Vajra path, it enters the lotus of the consort. It emerges from her lotus in the form of Samantabhadra, who then comes to sit on a lion-supported throne on the empowerment shrine in front. So the meaning of this is that even though actually on the level of Buddha nature, we are exactly the same. So we and the Vajra Master and so on, and the deity, we are exactly the same. But we have a lot of doubts in our mind. We think that, for example, the Lama is so precious and the Buddha is so precious, but we are nothing, we are just ordinary. So in order to purify this thought, this was the purpose of this visualization and recitation. It is in order for us to recognize, we purify this thought when we recognize that on the basis we are exactly the same. We have one and the same mind, and that is called the mind of Samantabhadra. It's the fundamental basis of your mind. So it is the so basically this here is the kind of a seeing that you are like the family, meaning that you are actually Buddha by nature.
so do je je sa je la ro je be che da wang yo de ju ne che da la da so xi ro bu je so da be wa ge la nam je ren wa de dong le wang ko ko wa so ko wa ko ba de no cho nam cho de ge de yum je de je lo li sa jo so ba nam je ji bo jo me to ko cha ba be me ba to je o te zo je je go ne ma je go yon de ma jo ba do je cho ya yo wang go we xie dong nan da so jo to ba jo be za to be za to da ka la ya a be ke zo da ka la ya be ke zo rarang te simply the doctor number 3 life mono vitri po ba so ni one cor ni po ni to bon lo te da gon go ede
and I also think that that all sentient beings together receive the empowerment. So just like you, there just like above your crown, there are empowerment deities above the crowns of each and every sentient being, and these empowerment deities are holding vases in their hands with which they pour the empowerment nectar into the crowns of all sentient beings. You have received Shitro water empowerment of Akshobhya. The stains of hatred are purified, the aggregate of consciousness transforms, and you attain the state of the changeless nature. Recognize the water element as the Vajra family. The seed or imprint of the Dharma Dhatu wisdom of the 5 wisdoms is planted into your mind stream.
rāng tāku chāsi lī top dhīr, sēt dāngmā chāsi lī top dhīr, sēm chī kī chāngdāng yāmbā tāku chāsi, mātāpa chāsi lī pīnā. Pē chā chāwa kī chāgōg lō wāng kōrā nāngi, tā tē tāwa sāng kōrī, tāku āshī bādi chā chāwa chāsōng, chāgōg chāsōng, chā chāwa chāsōng, tē ngō chō tāmi chāgōg tāwa, tī tē chā chāwa lō lō chāgōg shō rō rī, tī chā tā yē wī pā, tī ngō sō, tā mā rō kua tē rā wā rī, lā rō rī rī rī.
So the mind, our mind, has now currently this pure and impure aspect to it. And so what is being created here, so having received this water empowerment, is the pure aspect of the mind is established here. And actually all sentient beings possess this pure and impure aspect of their minds. So actually we can also rename this empowerment and call it the hot water empowerment melting the ice block. So basically our mind is like ice, and the empowerment nectar, that water, is actually hot water. And so when you pour hot water over an ice block, then it will melt. It will also become water. So maybe this is maybe a simple way to understand this.
the king of this Troji, your one or top, I judge it to Mata, Torah Nature, Nasoja was saw top, Sakam Boshi, so Niparsi, Yamaji, Shinga, support of Pajajula Yago.
You have received the Shitro crown ornament empowerment of Ratnasambhava. The stains of pride are purified, the aggregate of feelings transforms, and you attain the state of myriad manifestations. Recognize the earth element as the jewel family. The seed or imprint of the wisdom of equanimity of the 5 wisdoms is planted into your mind stream.
Masa soto ye jagole de shigo to din da ta ye be ma so yo ma go do cha nam da so cho to ba yo be da ami ta ba ya be ma to da ma ha be da be ke da Dio Babi Shitro Doji one girl top, the charger to Mata, the Shija Pongo Najor, number 2 Sa top, Mekan payments of me per se, so sort of way sing my soul the Pachajula Jago.
You have received the Shitro Vajra empowerment of Amitabha. The stains of attachment are purified. The aggregate of perception transforms, and you attain the state of complete liberation. Recognize the fire element as the lotus family. The seed or imprint of the discriminating wisdom of the 5 wisdoms is planted into your mind stream. You have received the Shitro Bell empowerment of Amoghasiddhi. The stains of jealousy are purified. The aggregate of karmic formation transforms, and you attain the state of spontaneous accomplishment. Recognize the wind element as the karma family. The seed or imprint of the activity accomplishing wisdom of the 5 wisdoms is planted into your mind stream. You have received the Shitro name empowerment of Vairocana. The stains of ignorance are purified. The aggregate of form transforms, and you attain the effortless state. Recognize the space element as the Buddha family. The seed or imprint of the mirror-like wisdom of the 5 wisdoms is planted into your mind stream. Then it says here, so thus you have received the complete vase empowerment, and you see the drawn mandala. The stains of your body's channels are purified, and you are empowered to practice the path of meditating on the forms of the peaceful and wrathful Buddhas and hold the samaya, related to form, the auspicious circumstances have been created to eventually achieve the resultant nirmana kaya. And so it is, you have seen the drawn mandala. The drawn mandala, it refers to the mandala that we often set up as an outer representation, but this is just an illustration actually. Really what it represents is that the fact that the 100 peaceful and wrathful Buddhas are actually present within your own body. Everything is within yourself. And the outer representations are only an illustration that indicate our true nature. So when you really think about this, the meaning of what is explained in this empowerment again and again, that will really be very helpful for your future understanding of any empowerment.
Sangyela, Chokchi Chadar, Sarvatar, Dachang Chope, Toji Sir, Namkra Dorji, Teng Daso.
And just as the Vajra of awakening bestowed the most excellent offering upon the Buddha, likewise, in order to protect me, please grant me the Vajra of space.
That one comes up. That's a up. That is a really bad. That one comes up. But that comes up, Kali. Come, young team, Mashi, Tamarbaga, and cover your child, they already. Come, they watch about the Dodashina, the little Jalu to Vedini, that organ, young Juliet in it. You are important Timona, Pata, Royal. There comes a lapse party. Important Timon to Malatin, cover Jerry, or that always she did. You know, didn't go something like that. And Jalu. Gorboche on your top of the jury long comes and have the comes and talks just have one ready.
So this is the empowerment that grants blessing, that blesses the subtle elements of your body, which is the inner aspect. So previously, first there is the blessing of the outer channels. And then after that, there is the blessing of the inner subtle elements. And so regarding those subtle elements, when we do not recognize what they really are, then those subtle elements themselves become the cause of perpetuating samsara. The subtle element is the element of great bliss. When you realize their nature, the nature of great bliss, then you will accomplish the rainbow body. That is when you realize the union of emptiness and bliss. When this experience of empty bliss arises, then all grasping, all belief in a concrete reality, all these ordinary perceptions will become purified. So when the subtle elements are blessed, then all of these fixations are purified. So again, if you do not recognize the nature of these elements, then you will believe, you will hold them to be true, you will cling to them, and then they become the cause of samsara. But when you recognize them, when you recognize bliss, the empty nature of bliss, like Guru Rinpoche, for instance, you will attain the rainbow body. So that is now the inner blessing of the subtle elements. Thus you have received the unelaborated secret substance empowerment of the method wisdom union of Yap and Yum, and you see the mandala of the Bhaga. You are empowered to recite the mantra, to practice the teachings on the winds, and hold the samaya of speech. The auspicious circumstances have been created to eventually achieve the resultant Sambhogakaya.
Sangjela, Chokchin Chetar, Sarvatar, Dajang Chope, Dongje Sir, Namka Dorji, Teng Daso.
And the next third, for the exceedingly unelaborated wisdom, knowledge, empowerment, please repeat. Just as the Vajra of awakening bestowed the most excellent offering upon the Buddha, likewise, in order to protect me, please grant me the Vajra of space. You have received the exceedingly unelaborated wisdom, knowledge, empowerment, and you see the two mandalas. The bindu stains of your mind are purified. You are empowered to practice the filling of the jewel and to rely on a karma mudra. You are empowered to hold the samaya of mind. The auspicious circumstances have been created to eventually achieve the resultant dharmakaya. So this empowerment is the Dumo empowerment, which is a practice, one of the practices of the 6 yogas of Naropa. And through this empowerment, the qualities of bodhicitta are further increased. So this is the empowerment authorizing one to meditate on Tumo.
Chokchi Chetar, Sarvatar, Dajang Chope, 동지 설 남크 도지 땡다소.
The next, the number 4, the extremely unelaborated word empowerment. Please repeat. Just as the Vajra of awakening bestowed the most excellent offering upon the Buddha, likewise, in order to protect me, please grant me the Vajra of space.
Tata Deva Chibi Shiti Chevka, the Deva, the Shibala Sword, the Chuka, Natri, just horror to it, not to Kare, Natri, Deva the Dohana, Chu, the Magotap Jelly Peti, the Lato of the Gogachumai, not thought of you, got up to not thought the Samjatu still, less a Kioma, Peti, Chu, Shibadi, not to Thomas the Pike. The Church Chargers, the Gachikabari, Tritata, Labadro, Hungabladri, not to carry the Zugu, Toa Caricil, Hung Bomb, Toa the Tordo, not as a theater to Goyore, Toa Caril, Torto to Goyore, Teripena, Magota, the Gachil, my Peti.
This empowerment is related to the practice of tekchu, which means the direct cut, directly cutting through. And so that is now following the experience of great bliss. So in order to not become attached to the experience of great bliss, we cut straight through it the moment it arises. And actually not just attachment, but anything else. Whenever you cut right through it, you come directly to the basic nature of the mind. And so no matter what experience arises, no matter what thought or emotion, whether it is pleasant or unpleasant, whatever arises, you cut through it. So that's the meaning of tekchu. And so, for example, the wrathful deities, they often wear this necklace made out of chopped off human heads. And that actually is related to the practice of tekchu here. The chopping off, the cutting off of heads actually here means the cutting off of thinking, of the thoughts. So it means to bring a stop to thinking, the discursive mind. You're cutting through it. And if you cut through the discursive mind, then you will not accumulate any karma. So in the practice of tekchu, whenever a thought or whatever feeling arises, the very moment it arises, you cut straight through it, for example, by saying the syllable pet, and that brings an end to it. Or for example, when we practice the guru, there is the hung practice, then you can also say hung. No matter what arises, whatever feeling in your body or in your mind, whatever arises, you cut through it with a forceful hung. Hung has the power to shatter all feelings, and also actually it has the power to even shatter illness and disease. So it's related to chopping off somebody's head, because when you chop off somebody's head, then clearly they can't really do anything. You have received the extremely unelaborated word empowerment, and you see the ultimate mandala that transcends the intellect. the stains of holding the diversity of concepts related to the three doors as separate are purified. You are empowered to practice the path of Tekchu Mahamudra, and you are empowered to hold the Samaya of the fourth empowerment. The auspicious circumstances have been created to eventually achieve the resultant essence Kaya. And this is related to the Samantabhadra prayer, actually. And the meaning here is actually very important. So in the Samantabhadra prayer, it speaks about how you approach, how you practice with the various objects of your desire. So no matter what you enjoy, any of the five sense pleasures, or no matter what arises, what you encounter, the point here, the point of cutting through is there is no need. It does not mean that you have to not do it. It doesn't mean that you cannot enjoy it. But what it means is to not be attached to it. So in the Samantabhadra prayer, it says, when desire arises, do not abandon it, do not reject it, this object of desire, but also do not accept it. So you also do not kind of indulge in it. So that's really the meaning of Tekchu. It cuts through not the partaking of something, but it cuts through the feeling of attachment, the clinging feeling. Basically, the feeling that clings to a dualistic existence and a concrete, substantially existing reality. So that's the nature, that's the purpose of the Tekchu practice.
내가 들이 말람 따위 도와를 두고 나와 샤르고 요래 대형 말람 따위래지 고대 이어라게 세브리데 셔급에 셔급에래지.
And so then that's the fifth empowerment, the completely unelaborated empowerment, which is the empowerment of the mirror or the crystal ball. And so during this empowerment, what we are introduced to is that it is said in the 37 Bodhisattva practices, appearances are one's own mind, or the way things appear is one's own mind. So that is indicated by the crystal, because from a crystal, rainbow lights may emerge. And the rainbow lights emerging from the crystal are part of the crystal, not separate. So this the Sambhogakaya, the term Sambhogakaya means the complete enjoyment body. And what that means is that enjoying here means that one interacts while recognizing that all appearances around one are one's own self-projections. So it says that one enjoys one's own self-projections. The entire outer universe and all beings are not separate, are not separate beings. So when there is no dualistic grasping in the mind, you become this enjoyment form, like a Sambhogakaya. So a Sambhogakaya, an enjoyment form, an enjoyment embodiment, enjoys their own self-projections. So it is just like the rainbow lights emerging from a crystal. The rainbow lights are the crystal. They're not separate from the crystal. And similarly, samsara and nirvana, everything is one's own self-projection, not separate from your own mind. And you recognize that when you become free of dualistic thinking. But for as long as you see things in a dualistic way, you believe in the concrete, true existence of what appears to you in samsara. But once you see how things really are, the reality of things, you recognize that all of these appearances are actually not separate from you. And actually that is what we call a pure land. The moment you no longer grasp, you no longer perceive a dualistic existence, there's no more duality, that moment your surrounding becomes the pure land. That's the pure land. And so for as long, however, as you do see things in a dualistic way, you are in an ordinary world of samsara. And for the time being, seeing things dualistically, there are afflictive emotions in the mind, and they are like colors. So basically, you see everything through the lenses of your afflictive emotions in different colors, depending on what afflictive emotion it is. And then temporarily, just like a dream state, the various projections of the 6 realms of samsara become manifest. And these are all just like a dream, an illusory appearance. And that's the nature of samsara and nirvana. So this is the empowerment of the mirror or the crystal, which is an example, like an illustration of the true nature of your mind. You have received the completely unelaborated empowerment of Togal, the dynamic energy of intrinsic awareness. You directly see the mandala where light and darkness are one. The stains of grasping at the separate existence of appearances and mind are purified, and the auspicious circumstances have been created to eventually achieve the resultant unified state of Samantabhadra.
Eba Ho, the Masse, the Sanji, Function, Bok, Chukuta, Dollar, they Chula Judge on the Soro, but Java, Gachana, Logota, Dollar, Chula Judge, Carter, Long, Yum, Dodger, Pima, Chukuta, Dollar, they Chula Judge on the nature of Elisha, Tajula Mako, Taju Tabaka, Lamata, they Chula Judge, watching the boy on the road. You love Jero, you love to hear the truck. They told a gadget, Jacket or the Namjama. Rocky, Masota, the here, they told a gadget. So once again, was some Taji of you. Don't I hear the they told a gadget. Dagi Shitro, Digi, one girl, the what top I they top the chair, Zawada in Lagatam, say them, Jetan, Tamba, Yam, Manyapa, Song, Piyung, Subnation, Masona, Tamsin Yabi, Dodgy never to so near to me. Cheve, Song Bushin, Ottawa, Dodgy, Lopunja, Kata, Tamli Mazawa, David, Tamsin, Tada, Manyampar, Manda, Wala, the way, Tamsin, Tada, Manyampar, Song, Yabi, Tabata, the do, there is Tamsin, Tamjeta, Dodgy, Lopunja, Sola, the song. Somehow, Tamsin, Samayam, but the Tawal, the way you there is the million song by Shitro, some marshal, and there is about Jim Guso. Certainly, but my young was I'm saying Yansibale. Not to send shadow, you move to what shadow. There wasn't see machine, there wasn't see machines, top of charge over it. This I'm saying Charles on it. Down you walk a song with the makeable patience of what I charge over it. Several Tova Majana, Ben Mitchell, she lunch with the Lana. Dark, she doesn't about half on it. She doesn't send me a chance on it. Oh, 3 days or you want to take the chance on 3 songs to me, but I'll take it also. Don't take song you must go married. Don't you hope some talk dinner, talk it up, take the Tawal lady, don't you hope send the Rangasem, Lamadara, this idea to tell you what they should is Kadaki, got you on Tawachipo, the yo, the economic not to carry, charity, to see the Tataway the 3. Shitro, the better to take some beyond my head. 3 days or somewhere to them without the Dodger who goes on Toson. The letter, that's a quite after letter, legally, Jin no butter, Japan. Mag going to Jin no butter, Bangna. This a third after it. Only the same. The data, my military. Lani stopped being on Dorlan County to Lam Jessie along said they got the Rashi. Judge Street, that she did by it. She take it. She did messed away, not up a saint of Hakona. There is a song to me, but I'll say the Kaka song, Maria song.
So then, in the end, we come to the Samaya, the commitment, and so all the Samayas are summarized into the Vajra Masters. Body, speech, and mind, or the Vajra of body, speech, and mind. So, more, if one would expand on Samaya, there is a collection of 100,000 Samayas. But all of these Samayas are actually included within the view or the natural state of the mind. Therefore, Jigme Lingpa had said that aside from not losing the stability of clear awareness, nothing else needs to be done. So that is related to the state of non-distraction. non-distraction is related to samaya, and that's also related to mindfulness. So what that means is, in terms of losing or not losing samaya, so whatever thought arises or whatever feeling, whatever emotion arises in the mind, so you recognize that without becoming attached. Normally, ordinarily, we cling to, we follow whatever thought or emotion arises in our mind. We fixate on it. And that fixation is what creates those karmic imprints in the mind. And that is when we lose samaya, when we break samaya. But the ultimate samaya is actually the samaya, it is said, that a samaya that cannot be kept. And so what that means is that mind ultimately is like a large mass of blazing fire, and all the thoughts arising are like the wood that are burned away by the fire. So no matter what thought arises in the mind, you just let it be. So, for example, when you get really angry at somebody and you understand the natural state of the mind, then you will not pursue that thought of anger, and it will just come and go, and it will go without leaving even a trace behind. And the same you do with the other 5 afflictions. So that is what is meant with there is no samaya to be kept. And the samaya that is not to be kept is the great samaya. And so it is the samaya of the Vajra Master's body, speech, and mind. And those 3 Vajras are included within the view or the viewing of the nature of the mind. Everything is included within just that. For example, when you meditate, it's all within there. We have mentioned before, my own mind, the Guru's mind, the Buddha's mind are one. So when you meditate, you just rest within the natural state of the mind. And within that state, whatever thought or feeling arises, when awareness is sustained, then this thought dissolves just like pouring salt into hot water. It just instantly dissolves. And then there is no trace left behind, so the mind becomes thought-free, completely thought-free. And when there is no thought in the mind, then there's also no so-called separate samaya to be kept. So this is the samaya really on the ultimate level, those 3 vajras of body, speech, and mind. On the external level, we do have the samayas also of the body. For instance, that means to not harm anyone with your body. And the samaya of the speech means to not harm anyone with your speech. So these 2 are the outer samaya. And then the inner, ultimate samaya is the mind. It's the state, to sustain a state of meditative absorption, of samadhi, a state of mindfulness, undistracted mindfulness. Actually, it is summarized in verse number 36 in the 37 practices, where it says, in brief, whatever you do, wherever you are, look at the state of your mind. What is the state of my mind? And so practicing mindfulness and awareness in all circumstances, that is the practice of the bodhisattvas, to do that for all beings. So mindfulness is like fire, and the thoughts are like wood that are burned away by the fire. And when there's only fire, there's only mindfulness, then there is no separate samaya to be kept. And to keep that samaya is to keep the samaya that is not to be kept is the ultimate or the great samaya.
담책 이발 이제 따봤던 쇼츠 대래 집에 생리 집에 담책 자와는 초고 지를 놓고도 아기하지도 마와서 따대들 많은 건가니들이 참 남도들 참 박차들 막대나 들이 담책 탈톡과 대리대 돌라고 담책 그것도 저들이 사바는 현재란 게 sabti chungde yoba pamani gosto de sabti chungde yoba sabata ngeje munedri ngodan seman da jinni de yinfing lo de ta che bol de ji de ko to la ta che ko to tang on dam ni sta che bo nyam de song je ge sen sam ji de man da wa ji de ni na to de ba chung de ta ma na ja de de song de ta de che chu por chawari Triteta, c'è l'altro direttore di elezioni.
So also regarding Samaya, in the world nowadays, we have the three jewels, and the three jewels, among the three jewels, the most precious is the jewel of the Sangha. The Sangha is most precious, because it is said that the Sangha embodies the three jewels. The Sangha's body is the Sangha, the speech is the Dharma, and the mind is the Buddha. And it's really the Sangha who uphold the Buddha's teachings. They are really the ones. So the root Samaya is really connected to the Sangha, actually. The Sangha's mind, we have said, is the mind of the Buddha, who introduces us to the teachings. It's the spiritual teachers, the Sangha. Without them introducing us, we wouldn't understand, we wouldn't know anything. So therefore, the Sangha is really most precious. And nowadays in the world, there are a lot of people who have realized the natural state of the mind, or the view. And the view, the so-called view, is something that we consider very precious. It's the ultimate Samaya. It's the ultimate Samaya of the secret mantra. And as we said, there is a collection of 100,000 Samayas. And all of these Samayas are included within a single one, and that is the view, or the natural state of the mind. Also once Milarepa said to Gampopa, when you rest with no distraction in the view, in the natural state, that it in itself is the Samaya. If you were to try to find a different, separate Samaya, other than your own mind, your own mindfulness, you would find wrong views in your mind. So what's most important is to sustain the natural state, awareness of the natural state without distraction. And if you sustain such a state, then karmic imprints cannot stay in the mind. And therefore, that's the ultimate Samaya. Then there is no other separate Samaya to be kept deliberately. On the relative level, the Samaya is love and compassion. And that begins with love and compassion for one's parents and so on. So that is a time, the relative level is the time where we still do perceive a duality of self and other, where we still do cling to the true existence of appearances. So at that time, the altruistic mind is most precious. So we have those two Samayas, the relative and the ultimate, but actually they are a union. And the union of the two Samayas is to never separate from love. If you never separate from love, then you have all Samaya. Then you are free of grasping and fixation in the mind. So stay without clinging, fixation, rest within the natural state of the mind. So that completes the Shitro empowerment of the 100 peaceful and wrathful Buddhas. Tashidele Dharma friends.
Sanjo Senjo Rinpoche Maje Banga Chijoje Jiba Nyamba Mebaya Kongle Konde Bewa Jo I was on that thing. You can do about W. Thomas, you tell me, don't do it. It's something. This Sanjay wrote it, either Tona, 사지 지스트마 추 지스트마 게디 지스트마 섬요래 하다스나 제보래들이 답이도 슈신지는 통촉이요래지 사지 지스트마라 온데 사지가 포레스 추 지스트마라 사지가 산승지 공고를 라고래스 게디지서 나 사지기 지적이 세지를 삽제고 에세 다들 고쳐서 지스트마라 띠들이 포르데디노들이 롱멀들이 소남탑 사제를 줘봐라 체미 통물을 꼴고 들어봐미 송 제주디 수말이 들이 포르도 다쳐버리 들이 지는 게 저도 탑에 자풀 얘기 자신 못 퍼요 이 주도는 봐 너무 통 빼지 못도 들이 하자 가서들이 참아 다시 델렉시게
So this is the a begging bowl, the Buddha's begging bowl. And actually, anyone who has received the refuge vow actually can drink from such a begging bowl. And whenever you drink from this bowl, the benefit of that is that you remember the three jewels. You remember the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha every time you drink from this bowl. And that is an incredible merit. So anyone who has taken the refuge vow can use such a begging bowl to drink from. And so then how you recollect the three jewels is that, so when you remember the Buddha, then you remember, oh, this is the begging bowl of the Buddha. When you remember the Dharma, then you remember, so that's the begging bowl of the Buddha. So what did the Buddha say? The Buddha said, practice love and compassion. And then also you remember the Sangha. So that, because then you think that I am a follower of the Buddha, so therefore I must cultivate love for all sentient beings. So in this way you recollect the three jewels by using such a begging bowl. And actually also anyone who offers something inside, who pours something inside that bowl, accumulates a great amount of merit, because there is no difference than offering something into the begging bowl of somebody to offering it to the Buddha himself. So Jigten Sumgön actually had said that. He had said that there is no difference between making an offering to the Buddha or the retinue. So anyways, I wanted to introduce to you the bowl, which is really very precious. And now I'm offering you all a nice begging bowl of tea. And also, Dharma friends, I'm so happy to see your faces today. Extremely happy to see you. So, Dashi Delek.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much, everyone. Join the teaching. Appreciate also Abo Lama. So hard work for all the create the mandalas, Shitro mandala. Appreciate Inna. Thank you very much, Inna. Translate all this teaching, precious teaching. Thank you very much, Rinpoche. And see you tomorrow, everyone. We going to starting East Coast time, 11 o'clock. Rinpoche going to share the power transmission. So if you like to join 10 o'clock East Coast time, I'm going to finish it this morning. We not yet finished the dream of Pardo teaching. So I'm going to share that before Rinpoche going to join he's going to do the power transmission and teaching. Thank you, everyone. Good evening. Tashi Delek. See you tomorrow.
Hi, everyone. Can't do it.
Oh, no.